Certainly Guru gave me advice, but the way Guru affected me, in a large sense, is the way we're all affected by each other's consciousness. I mean, why do we choose someone as a friend? We choose someone as a friend because we feel, and this may not be conscious at all, but we feel reinforced by their presence. There's an inner kinship. You're kind of touched by the person's inner life, such that you feel a sense of well-being in the presence of someone else. So on a very casual basis, all of us are affected by the consciousness of those around us. So just to be with Sri Chinmoy, the authority of his spirituality, just sitting there, we could be talking about anything. And when I was with Guru, we could talk about anything, anything from, he would always, one of the things about Sri Chinmoy, always he would assign to you a responsibility. One time he had me give classes in Santa Barbara, and I was spending a lot of time with the students in Santa Barbara. And whenever I had the opportunity to be with Guru alone, there'd be a checklist that he'd go through of things that he knew were my responsibility. How is Santa Barbara doing? How is so-and-so? How is so-and-so? How is this disciple doing? How is this one doing? And how is your work? How is your brother? How is your, the whole sphere of consciousness influence that he attached to me. And we're talking about anything. Sometimes we can be talking about Chicago pizza, which is something that has stuck to me through the years. Just to be in the presence of someone whose spirituality is that powerful lifts you. You walk away spiritualized by the encounter, regardless of the nature of the encounter. And we're all affected by that. You spend time, everybody has had when you spend time with who's really happy, you come away happified by the experience. Again, and this is a very vulnerable thing, actually. Until you start meditating regularly, your inner space is quite porous. You could walk down the street and pass by someone whose thoughts are depressed or is in a dark space, and suddenly you go through just a moment, maybe longer than a moment, a period of darkness. All of a sudden because you just walk through the consciousness aura, so to speak, of someone whose thoughts are depressed. So this kind of thing happens all the time, but with a spiritual master, you try to soak it in. When you're sitting with Guru, you want to, breathe in the consciousness atmosphere that's there. Then again, as you mentioned, I did spend a lot of time with Guru privately and personally and intimately. And that interaction could take the form of my occasionally asking, may I ask your advice, Guru? May I ask your question? To him spontaneously saying, oh, good boy, you have to do this, you have to do this. I think the relationship with the spiritual master is misunderstood. It's very, very intimate. It's deeply personal. And you come to view the master as an extension of your own inner life. So when Guru advised me to do something, I would try to take it as if my own soul was telling me, that he wouldn't tell me something that is not in accordance with my own inner being. The beautiful part about having had that experience is that, the spiritual life is not all black and white. Sometimes there's gray areas and you're confused and you're not sure. And it's nice to have been able to ask Guru and say, Guru, is this the right thing? Is this the wrong thing? And oftentimes it was just a hallucination of sorts, and it was completely had no bearing in my life whatsoever. Something, Guru say, where did you come up with that idea? Oish, oish, one of those. So the time that I spent with Guru is sacred. It's really precious. Precious beyond my ability to really appreciate how precious it was. I mean, I don't have the capacity to be grateful enough for the way in which Guru shared his life with me. I just don't know how to do it.